By morning, the streets of Pompeii would no longer exist. Roofs would collapse beneath falling stone. Families would be trapped inside their own homes. And the most dangerous part of the eruption had not even begun. But hours earlier, the city was still alive.
Fresh bread! Get your warm loaves here!
So why did so many people remain beneath the mountain? The people of Pompeii could see the mountain from almost anywhere in the city. It stood silently above their homes, above their temples, above their ordinary lives. On that morning, there was no clear reason to believe the city was about to disappear. The streets opened as they always did, and another normal day began. Shopkeepers raised their wooden shutters. Workers returned to unfinished buildings. Bakers prepared bread. Families stepped into the streets. But beneath Mount Vesuvius, something had been building for centuries. Pressure was rising. Rock was breaking. And the people above it knew nothing. Before the day ended, the sky would turn black. The streets would vanish. And Pompeii would become one of history's most haunting cities. This is not only the story of how Pompeii was destroyed. It is the story of the final ordinary hours before anyone understood what was coming. Pompeii was not the silent ruin we know today. It was a busy Roman city filled with noise, color, work, arguments, laughter, and ambition. Its streets were crowded with merchants, laborers, wealthy citizens, enslaved people, travelers, and children.
Fresh
Everyone
figs from
had
the south!
somewhere to be.
Everyone had somewhere to be.
Everyone had plans.
Everyone had plans.
Heavy carts moved across roads paved with large stones. Their wheels had traveled the same routes so often that deep grooves had formed beneath them. Water flowed from public fountains. Political messages covered the walls. Advertisements directed people toward businesses, entertainment, and local candidates. Inside Pompeii's bakeries, grain was crushed beneath heavy stone mills. Dough was shaped into round loaves and pushed into wood-fired ovens. Some of those loaves would never be removed. Centuries later, archaeologists would find them still inside the ovens where they had been abandoned. Food sellers prepared their counters. Wine was poured. Fruit, oil, fish, and household goods were displayed for customers passing through the streets. The public baths filled with conversation. People discussed business. They complained about politics. They exchanged rumors and arranged meetings. Elsewhere, builders continued repairing homes and public buildings. Pompeii was still recovering from damage caused years earlier. People made purchases. They visited friends. They prepared meals. They made plans for the evening. Some planned for the following week. Others worried about money, relationships, or work. No one understood that Pompeii was running out of time. Mount Vesuvius rose only a short distance from the city. But the people of Pompeii did not see it as an enemy. Its slopes were fertile. Vineyards and farms surrounded it. The rich volcanic soil helped produce valuable grapes, wine, and crops. The mountain that would destroy Pompeii had also helped make the surrounding region prosperous. To the people below, it appeared calm and familiar. They didn't understand that Vesuvius was an active volcano. They had no scientific instruments watching the mountain, no emergency alerts, no evacuation plan. There were no experts studying rising gases, no machines measuring pressure beneath the ground, and no one could tell them what was approaching. Years earlier, a powerful earthquake had struck Pompeii. Homes were damaged, temples collapsed, public buildings cracked. The destruction had been serious. Even years later, parts of the city were still being repaired when Vesuvius finally erupted. Smaller earthquakes continued across the region. Walls trembled, objects shifted. Animals sometimes became restless. But repeated danger can slowly begin to feel normal. When something happens many times without disaster, people stop treating it like a warning. The shaking became part of life. People repaired broken walls. They replaced damaged objects. Then they continued with their day.
Even on the final morning, the ground may have trembled beneath their feet. But most people had experienced tremors before. They did not know that these movements were connected to something far more dangerous beneath the mountain. The warnings were there, but without understanding what they meant, there was no reason for the people of Pompeii to imagine the end. Then, sometime during the day, the mountain changed. A violent explosion tore open the summit of Vesuvius. A massive column of ash, gas, and shattered rock rose high into the sky. It climbed upward like the trunk of an enormous tree. High above the mountain, the clouds spread outward. From a distance, it resembled the branches of a giant umbrella pine.
Across the Bay of Naples, a young Roman named Pliny watched the strange cloud form. He had never seen anything like it. In Pompeii, people stepped into the streets and looked toward the mountain. At first, many may not have understood what they were seeing. Some watched with curiosity. Others became frightened. Families called for one another. Shopkeepers abandoned their counters. Then, small pieces of white pumice began falling from the sky. At first, they were light enough to be brushed away, but the falling stones did not stop. They struck rooftops. They filled courtyards. They began covering the streets. The sky above Pompeii grew darker. The warm daylight faded behind a thickening cloud of ash.
The city that had awakened beneath a clear sky was slowly entering darkness, and the people finally understood that something was wrong. Some residents fled immediately. They gathered children, money, jewelry, and whatever possessions they could carry. They covered their mouths with cloth. They tied cushions to their heads for protection from falling stones. Then they moved toward the city gates. But leaving was not simple. The streets were becoming difficult to cross. Ash reduced visibility. Pumice gathered beneath their feet. Families became separated. Carts blocked narrow roads. Animals panicked. And every minute made escape more dangerous. Others chose to remain inside their homes. They believed the thick walls and roofs would protect them from the falling debris. Some may have been waiting for relatives. Others were protecting valuables. Many probably believed the danger would pass. It was a decision made without knowing what Vesuvius could do. Staying indoors may have felt safer than entering the dark streets. But pumice continued accumulating on the rooftops. The weight grew heavier. Beams cracked. Ceilings began collapsing. Pompeii was being buried slowly. Not in a single moment, but piece by piece, street by street.
home by home. As the hours passed, the eruption continued. Ash filled the air. Breathing became difficult. Torches struggled to remain lit. The sun had disappeared, but the darkness was not peaceful. Lightning flashed inside the volcanic cloud. The mountain roared continuously.
The earth shook beneath the city. Buildings moved. Doors became trapped. Walls weakened. People who had remained inside were now forced to choose again. Stay beneath failing roofs or enter streets buried beneath ash and stone. Some escaped through windows. Others climbed across rooftops. Families held on to one another as they searched for a way out. Many residents had already escaped Pompeii, but those who remained were running out of safe choices. They did not know that the greatest danger had not yet reached the city. The falling pumice was only the beginning. During the night, the towering eruption column above Vesuvius began to lose its strength. It could no longer hold its enormous weight. Parts of the column collapsed back toward the mountain. Superheated clouds of gas, ash, and rock raced down its slopes. These were not ordinary clouds. They moved with terrifying speed. They were hot enough to kill within moments. The first deadly surges devastated areas closer to the mountain. Herculaneum was overwhelmed before Pompeii received the final blow. Pompeii remained beneath falling ash. The city was damaged, dark, and almost completely buried. But some people were still alive. Then, near morning, another surge formed. It crossed the land between Vesuvius and Pompeii. There was almost no time to react. The cloud entered through streets, doorways, windows, and every open space. People sheltering inside homes were overtaken. Those attempting to escape through the streets were caught where they stood. The heat and ash ended life in Pompeii within moments. The city became completely silent. By the time the eruption weakened, Pompeii had vanished beneath meters of volcanic material. Roads, homes, and temples could no longer be seen. The mountain remained, but the city beneath it had disappeared from the landscape. Survivors returned to search for relatives and possessions. But much of Pompeii was impossible to reach. Some attempted to dig into buried buildings. Others left the region and rebuilt their lives somewhere else. Over time, the exact location of Pompeii faded from memory. New soil formed above the streets. Plants and farms covered the buried city. For centuries, people walked above homes, shops, paintings, and personal belongings without knowing what remained beneath their feet. When Pompeii was eventually uncovered, archaeologists found something extraordinary. The disaster had destroyed the city, but it had also preserved it. They found streets worn by cartwheels, messages written on walls, food left inside homes, and tools abandoned during work. They found evidence of people in the middle of ordinary routines. Meals had been interrupted. Repairs had been abandoned. Doors had been left open. Empty spaces remained inside the hardened ash where human bodies had once been. Plaster later revealed the forms of some victims. They were not statues created by Roman artists. They were the final positions of real people caught during Pompeii's last hours. A city destroyed in terror became one of the clearest windows into everyday Roman life. The people of Pompeii did not awaken believing they were living through history. They believed they were beginning another ordinary day. They opened their shops, prepared their food, visited their neighbors, and made plans for a tomorrow that would never arrive. The mountain had always been there, quiet, familiar,
almost invisible because everyone had grown accustomed to its presence. But history does not always announce itself with enough time to escape. Sometimes, the final warning looks exactly like an ordinary day. This was Pompeii's final day. One city, thousands of lives, and the moments before everything changed forever. Subscribe to Moments Before for more cinematic stories from the final hours before history changed. What would you have done when the ash began to fall?